Record on this. So welcome everybody. It's lovely to see so many of you here tonight. We're now recording. My name is Christian McNeill. I'm a three principles practitioner, amongst other things, here in Glasgow in Scotland. And I'm absolutely delighted that our guest tonight, Amanda Jones, is joining us. And I'm delighted to see all the rest of you on the call. I reached out to Amanda a few months ago now, I think, and Amanda is a coach and an author, and I have her book, Uncovery. You can give us the full title, Amanda, but I really loved it. I love the way that you write, Amanda, and I also listened to you speak on a number of webinars, and I just found that the way you speak, the way you talk about this subject, uncovery or getting beyond, you're talking, I think, specifically in that book about eating disorders, but it seems to me it applies much more widely than that. But I love the way you speak. It's so comforting and inclusive, and all kinds of issues that people have had around loss of control and compulsive behaviours, and particularly addiction to alcohol, but all of that area is an area that I'm very, very interested in, and certainly have my own story with. So my journey through it has been different to yours, but I think it's so important to hear from different people, and I'm very kind of committed at the moment to sharing this message, and how the inside out understanding, or the three principles, or whatever we want to call it, if there is even an it, but how that can be helpful in this particular area. But I don't want to kind of in any way encroach on what you might want to say, and I think that's probably enough for me, because I would really love to just hand it over to you and just hear you share whatever you want to share tonight. It's tonight here in Scotland. It's lunchtime where you are. So Amanda, over to you.
Well, thank you for having me, and thank you for all the beautiful faces I see, and the people who have their cameras off. I see Carmela, hi, Joel, Nancy, Deborah. There she is. Well, since this is the parameters of this webinar is addiction, I thought I would start off just expressing how it looked to me now. Before I understood anything about that I was not living in a separate world, that there was not a that there was not a me and then a world doing something to me. It looked to me like I had to protect against stuff that was happening, pull in good stuff, and push away bad stuff. And what that produced was a lot of depression, anxiety, and behaviors, because this fixed individual only existed in thought. I didn't know that. I thought I was me the whole time. Only exists in thought, and so it kept moving and changing as thought does. And so the angst that creates of trying to make it secure and not move anymore and be the same was produced a seeking behavior of, I just can't do this anymore. Let me check out and feel better. And so behaviors happen. Awakening to first through the principles, which were invaluable to me in terms of just everything's thought. What? Oh, okay. And then that opened up a little bit more of understanding of this, whatever this thing is going on here. And then so as a child, I was always very, very into the metaphysical, and there's more than this, I know. And, I think like most children are. But then it kind of circled its way back as I started to really get it about reality and what that was and what mine was and what, that this whole thing going on is. And so the principles really opened that up to me hugely. I'm grateful to no end. But I didn't stop there, because what I found was everything is thought, and so am I. What? Oh, like that's like the missing piece that gets, well, it just gets missed, because it still is everything is thought in the world, in my world, but so am I. And so what that did for me was, instead of this moving, changing world of experience, now I was moving and changing with it. There wasn't a static, fixed individual being bombarded with movement. Now everything is moving, and my hands are seen to be not doing what I thought they were doing in the world. No doer, but things were done. Things are done. No experiencer, but there's experiencing happening. No thinker, but thoughts are happening. And it's been very beautiful and progressive. It's not all at once. Things shed away slowly, but in terms of addiction and behaviors and stuff, once I looked away from, I have to stop behaving like this, I have to stop having bulimia and anorexia and stuff like that. Once I stopped looking in that direction, the light was shined more on where the juice was, which was, who thinks she needs to protect herself? Who's that? Where is she? Can I find her? Is she really there like I thought she was this whole time? Well, no. So what is it? So then that opens up a whole nother discovery of who have I been managing this whole time? I've been hiring managers to manage the managers, right? I fired all them, because once it's seen that there's nobody there to manage, that what I see as the world is made of the same stuff as what I am. Like the self and the world are made of the same thought created perception. There's not one outside of the other having power over the other. And when it looks like that, then it will make sense to reach for something to help or do something to make better. And the beauty is, that's fine too. Because if that's what's happening, that's what's happening. And again, it's so slippery at first to fall into the, well, there's nobody here doing anything, there's no doer, so I'm just going to turn into a wisp of smoke and float away. Well, that hasn't happened yet. And things still seem to keep moving along. Things keep happening, doing is doing. But the me who thinks she's doing it has really become translucent. Very, very, very see-through, very, very shimmery and holographic. So that's where that's my first ramble. Does anybody have any questions? Or Christian, did that make any sense at all?
Well, I loved listening to you. And I'm also wondering, where would you start if, say, someone has read your book and they get in touch with you and they're having a call with you? What's your starting point? And I know hypothetical questions are different because it's also the energy in the moment. But
yeah,
how do you lead someone or point? What do you point them to initially?
Well, given that they're coming, we first of all, I listen to what they're saying, and then it's generally very much about what are you believing to be true, and how can I show you that that might not be true? Not telling you something else to believe. That's not helpful at all.
Mm-hmm.
But do you believe that you have this personality that's fixed and you're trying to change it now into a better one? And where does that, can you find it? Can you, what happens when you aren't thinking about yourself? Do things are there problems? You know, it's kind of just like a dismantling of the sandcastle, one grain at a time. And eventually, so the sandcastle appears to be made of cement at this point.
Yeah.
And we dribble a little bit of water to soften things up. And as the sandcastle softens up, pieces start to fall away gently and safely, so that if there's any resistance, that's welcome and looked at too. And then here comes the ocean to wipe it all away. Maybe not all at once. There's a clump left over here and there, and then we look at that, and that's, you know, fun. And so I think that's generally where I start. We look at what looks like cement, and see if that's really true, experientially, like really see it, not just me telling you it's not true. Again, not helpful at all.
Yeah. I love that question you said there. I'm paraphrasing, but something along the lines of, does life carry on when you're not thinking about yourself?
Yeah.
Great question.
Yeah. Does it come to a screeching halt? Is it just like a freeze frame? No. Generally, it's more immersive and more colorful, and just when me isn't there pulling the reins, it's so much, there's just so much, that's freedom and love and unbridled experience, because it's really when the me shows up that the problems appear, and the attempt to fix the problem is so that me can dissolve away again. That's what it wants to do.
Yeah. So there's almost an unconscious awareness of what, and
Yes.
and whichever compulsive or other problem behavior is really an attempt, perhaps a misguided attempt to
dissolve what just arose as a problem of a me to dissolve back, which it will, because it's not really there in the way we think it's there. It's a thought created experience. Yeah. But it doesn't feel like that, because we have it lives in past and future, and it's got memory and conditioning and gravity to it. But all of those things, again,
apparently
are thought. Apparently it's an apparent gravity, but again, those aren't really there because they're thought as well. And so poof, one new thought comes in and it's gone. So
we can't actually experience the past or the future, but a thought of a version of the past can appear.
I love when I go on a trip, like you just came back from holiday. I love when I go on a trip and I come home, it feels so much like that was a dream. Like that was a dream. It's just got that kind of cloudy, wispy sense to it, being, the past does. Very much like a dream.
Yeah.
And that's what it is. It is. Like when you're asleep at night and you're dreaming, and then you wake up in the morning, it's bits and pieces and kind of blurred around the edges. And so, no past, no future, no, not even several moments, moment by moment. It's one moment.
Yeah.
Because you can't find a beginning and end to a moment, can you? It's seamless. one seamless thing. No
Yes.
entry, no entry point, no exit point.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And it's fascinating to me. One of the areas where I got stuck for a while in my life before I came across this understanding, but was in the belief, another thought that I was that my life was shaped by my past, and then at some point I had the insight that the past simply does not exist, and even when I have a memory in this moment of something that happened in the past, good, bad, or indifferent, it's never the same. It's not a digital download. It's a creative experience in this moment.
Now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that was very helpful to me because it's, I saw that there wasn't this thing of, that could kind of grab me or
Exactly.
seize hold of me.
Exactly. And if it, when it looks like there's something from the past that needs to be held on to, do you notice that it's hard to do that? Because if you don't have control over the next thought you're going to have, how are you supposed to hold on to a thought or a memory? Right?
Yeah, yeah.
It's yeah.
Well, yeah, and
There's nothing like
it's because thought is so fleeting that we need a shopping list, to remember what we.
Exactly.
Or it's, who hasn't had that experience of walking into a room thinking, why am I here?
I did that this morning. I did that this morning. Oh, yeah. Yeah, but it's so funny because then we think, oh, but I'm in control in this area. I don't control my thoughts. I get that. But I can control my response. I can control my reaction to thought. Really? Or does it just happen? Do you get in there and pre-think the response? If you do, let me know, because that's cool. But I don't, there can't be some control over here and some control over here and no control over here. There can't be a separation between this whole soup of whatever this is. It's just the illusion, the appearance of a me that will feel like it has choice and control over something other than it. And that's beautiful too. Until it isn't. Until it's not beautiful at all. Until it's despair and shame and guilt and what's wrong with me? What's wrong with me?
Say more about that. Would you say a little more about that? Could you illustrate that one a little more?
About
what you just said about how we respond and
okay. Well, I mean, you can check for yourself. It's very okay. So as a provisional pointer, it could be useful for someone to hear. You don't control your thoughts, but you can control your reaction to your thoughts. Now, for someone who doesn't know anything about, have any kind of awareness of how there is no control, giving that sense of control is helpful for that moment, because now it can calm down and kind of listen and start to see what's really going on. So that's fine. But as you move deeper, you can explore that. So you can't control the next thought that comes in. The next thought that comes in, you can call that a reaction or a response, but it's still the next thought that comes in that you don't control. Right? It's the next thought that you didn't control. After the fact, me comes in and says, I chose to react that way. Now, let's hope it was a good choice, because if you're claiming responsibility for that, you'll either be ashamed, or you'll be very proud that you chose the right one. All of that bullshit is so innocent, but it's why we just feel like we're in this hamster wheel, that we are the wheel. Not only that, like, there is no hamster wheel, but we create the hamster and the wheel and jump in and run, and wonder why. Wonder why.
Yeah.
Did that expand on what I said? Because I don't.
Yeah.
I don't actually know what I said.
Lovely. Yeah.
I mean, you can check for yourself. If you can't predict the next thought that comes in right now, did you know what you're going to think?
No idea. I'm not really thinking much as it happens.
Beautiful. Beautiful.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I get, and nor, I think, well, this is the case for me. It may not be for anyone else, but it's very hard to remember what I was thinking 5 minutes ago or half an hour ago.
That's why when you asked me to expand on what I said, I was like, oh shit, what did I say? Because I had no idea. Honestly.
Yeah.
You might have to edit this.
No, not at all. Not at all. Yes, it's so interesting, and yet I suppose all of us also have that experience of, say, being in a relaxed conversation, but that it's kind of making sense. Nobody's concerned about it. Hopefully, it's a nice experience. But if you're asked about, to go back, it is very difficult, because it's not being present and just letting what comes out doesn't, you're not locking onto things to analyze.
Right. And we aren't anyway. That's the weird thing, is that it's always like that.
Yeah.
That we're not thinking up what we're going to say. This is a weird experiment. If you want to try it, is the next time you have a conversation with somebody, or you're speaking to somebody, notice if you're thinking ahead of what you're going to say, like right ahead, or are there just words? Is there just speaking happening?
Yeah.
Try it. It's weird.
Now, sometimes I think I am thinking ahead. I used to be a lawyer.
Yeah, right. But you only know that after. You only make that determination after you've said something. Right?
Yes. Yeah. Because I might think a plan, but what actually comes out may or may not reflect the plan of what I was going to say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's so cool to start to see this, because I've been using this this metaphor in the past couple of weeks of Santa Claus, or Father Christmas for those in the UK. Karen. So if we take Santa Claus as the separated self, the me, what we start to see is that as that is seen through and not believed in, Santa, when we find out about Santa Claus, he's not murdered or right? That's awful. That's an awful thing to say. But presents happen without that belief. Joy and cheer and good food and family and community happen even without that belief in Santa. So without the belief in the me, doing happens. Love, joy, suffering, beauty happens. Anyway, it's just like Santa. We thought Santa was doing the presents, right?
Yes. Yeah.
But the belief we figure out that he's not real. Don't play this for any children, by the way. we figure that out, but still presents continue to happen.
Yeah. And the the illusion of Santa can also still be enjoyed.
Yes, bingo. That was what I was going to say next.
Oh, sorry.
No. I'm glad you reminded me. It's so much more beautiful because we can go full into the Santa illusion or the me illusion with all its individuality and personality and quirkiness, and all these different faces on the screen have their most beautiful sparks of, expression. And but it's seen for what it is. Santa is seen as an illusion, a belief, but still loved just as ever.
Mm-hmm. Oh, lovely. Yeah. That's a great metaphor. I love to use that. I love it. Yeah.
You can use that.
There's some comments, Amanda. Do you want me to read them out? So Suzanne commented that thinking ahead in conversation seems to create both distraction and tension. And then Deborah asked, yes, but can you think ahead what you're going to, but you can think ahead what you're going to say, can you not? And
of course. Mm-hmm.
Suzanne has replied for a general direction, yes. And I just
yeah. I mean, that's going to happen. You're not doing it.
Yeah.
Thinking ahead will happen.
Yeah.
It will feel like you're thinking ahead. Mm-hmm. But okay. Again, Santa isn't bringing the presents. The presents are appearing. The presents are happening. You will think ahead or you won't.
Yeah.
You.
Mm-hmm.
And even that comes effortlessly. The thought of I need to think ahead, that arose effortlessly with no effort.
Yeah. Or an hour ago, I was in an exercise class, and thoughts were coming to me about how, what might come up in this conversation. In fact, none of those thoughts have now realized in the conversation that we've had. But the thought, the thoughts just arose, and it, big deal.
Yeah. It's beautiful. I love I love seeing that when it feels like we're efforting something, even effort comes effortlessly. Even the feeling of efforting arises with no effort. Yeah. It's just layer upon layer upon layer upon layer, and then poof, wisp of smoke, and we're all like, no, just kidding.
Yeah. You invited questions, and then I started speaking to you. But I would like to just open that up again.
Sure.
Yes, please do. If you want, if anyone would like to come in and join in the conversation, please just unmute yourself and do so. We'd love to hear from you. Everybody's.
Come on, bring it on. What do you got? Sharon?
Well, I think, so what you're talking about with habit and addiction, could you talk a bit more about why it's not so important anymore to worry about controlling your addiction or using willpower? Or if you could talk a bit more about that, maybe.
Well, this is an and. So when it looks like willpower is available, it will be used. When it looks like there is so much, when it looks like there is no choice there but to do what is in front of you to do, that's what will happen too. And trying to control behaviors is maintaining the illusion that there is somebody to protect and to feel better and shouldn't be doing something. And that's why we shift away and look at who is needing to be protected. What is that belief? And in the moments when that is just too invisible and just not seen, it might look like there's some control to be had in using willpower or whatever. But again, it's going to change. It's going to change. And just the keeping the direction towards this, who's needing to be protected and what's that about, and is that real? And that direction has much more effective ripples that will ripple out into behavior, because it will be seen that there is less need for protection for something that is really understood correctly, and seen for what it is. That it's not seen for what it's not. It's not a vulnerable, separated out entity that needs protection. And it's an ongoing looking. It's the best. Is that clear? Is that?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Sharon. Thanks, Amanda. Yeah, lovely. Yeah, the thought, a phrase that came to my mind there is one that a friend of mine uses, and it's around knowing who you are isn't up for grabs, and what he means by that, or at least what I take it that he means by that, is not that you are not the ego, you are not who you think you are, but just I think I like the phrase because it seems to encourage me to sort of rest into that essence behind the ego, or and when I'm in that place, all the judgments about what I'm doing and you know what I have done, or feeling out of control, that they're less relevant. You know, that they don't, that there's no, it's not denial of them, but it's not, they are not of the essence. They are not who I am. Yeah. I see some. Monique is also. I'm not sure if it's a question or a comment. Monique says, "My mind is constantly rehearsing future conversations. Constant. It's almost how it occupies itself." And I wonder what your thoughts are on that.
I know. That's interesting, because I see that is how it's like the mind is on the treadmill, and that's its workout. That's how it's keeping itself healthy. And that's it. Like, that's how it's maintaining its activity, because it's an activity. The mind is an activity. It doesn't stop. It doesn't, you know. So but we can start to see that it's a treadmill, not a trail outside. It's not going anywhere. And in the moment when the conversation happens, notice that you just start talking. So yes, there's something clarifying for me about it's, if I think it's Santa, then there's all sorts of stuff I have to do to keep Santa on board. If I know Santa's a fantasy, I can enjoy the fantasy, but there isn't so much on it. That's exactly it. Exactly it. If it's Santa, you have to have the right cookies and milk set out. You have to be good all year. You have to be good all year. Because there's also the threat of you're on the naughty list and you're not getting any presents. Oh my God. And now, am I good enough? Am I good enough? Am I good enough? all for this. But then and then it's the same thing. It's the me talking to itself on the treadmill saying, are you good enough? It's like a mirror. It's not a window. It's a mirror. Are you good enough? Are you good enough? Are you good enough? Yeah. And then we see that as an illusion. It's a belief. And it will still go. It'll still jog on the treadmill, but it's different. It's just different.
Yeah. Yeah.
The interest dies away. It's not interesting anymore.
Hmm. Yeah.
Hi, it's Tony. Can I ask a question?
Hey, Tony.
Of course.
Hey, how are you, Amanda?
Oh, so good to see you.
Carnaby Street. How long ago was that?
Oh, 2 years, 3 years, 2 years, 3 years.
Is it maybe 3 years? But hello, Christian.
Hi, Tony. How are you?
Yeah, not bad, not bad. So just a quick one.
Yeah.
I've
Bring
been
it
out-
on.
Oh, yeah, bring it on. No, I've been in a conversation for maybe about 4 months now. I got the imaginary me.
Uh-huh.
The imaginary me just got really frustrated with the intangibility of just it. Rightly or wrongly, I did, and
No, that's when you need to get the
yeah,
fuck out.
I was getting really angry in forums and calls,
Yeah.
and just really
Yeah.
got to get out. And I got out. This is the first one that I've done actually in a long time. And I know that I also want to say, oh, it's because I'd met you and I know Christian, and it's an interesting subject for me because I've had addictions myself. But following your conversation, I just had the thought to join, or there was a thought to join, however we're going to say it.
I love it. I love that.
And I think for me still is that when I listen to the conversation, there's no arguments. I think, that you're on point with everything you're talking about. But then I also then have the thought, and how the fuck's that helpful in my situation?
Yeah, I know.
And I, what I can say is that when I came out of the conversation, because I was in a relationship with a young child and I was still actively drinking, and it was all and I'm trying to sort it out within the principles, and I'm just trying. Then I'm thinking, well, there's not really a real me, and and I'm on seminars and I'm listening all the time, and I thought, okay, so the thought I had, or the thought that popped up, was check out of all of this, and sort this out how you would have sorted it out. Like,
Yeah.
I was really stuck in that it's all thought, because it's like, in a way, like, I know it might sound silly, but if it's all thought and I've got like a ferocious dog running towards me, and I'm thinking, okay, well, I'm having the thought to run, and I'm like, well, actually, this is just a thought. Maybe I might stay still. So for me, yeah. I personally, rightly or wrongly, I went back to just normal behaviour.
Good.
And as soon as I did, my drinking stopped, and I was able to.
Yeah.
It's a second relationship, long-term relationship with children involved that I've broken up from. And I'm handling this one now so much better than before. But the but is, without this understanding, but here I am on the call. So the moment I stopped trying to, figure it out from a place of I'm love and awareness and consciousness, or I'm an imaginary me, or I'm the three principles paradigm, and everything's just, I just couldn't sort anything out. I just couldn't sort anything out, right?
It's concept upon concept upon concept, and then you're like, what the?
Yeah, I just couldn't. So I suppose that brings me to, I've never found it easy to ask questions. So the question really is, not that I'm really asking you, I'm just kind of putting it out there. Don't know what to do now, really. It's like,
yeah,
like, well, actually, it seems that life is better without the three principles. Even though I might still be using them, in my own.
Well, yeah,
the concepts of separate realities, and it's all thought and everything. Yeah. So that's the kind of question, if there is a question, and then that.
Okay. Yeah. No, life will be better without any concepts laid on top of it. No matter if it's what the concept is called or known as. So without the concept of the devil, better, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay. So what now? I don't know. You showed up here, you're sitting here, that's it.
Yeah.
There's nothing for you to push away or take in and carry with you. Like that, like you got to a place where the concept was so solid and unhelpful that it crumbled itself. It crumbled away. It can't be maintained as that, and it's not helpful. So what's not helpful will crumble away eventually.
Yeah.
But here you are, and what's next is just, I don't know what's next. But there's nothing for you to take or leave or.
And again, that's both helpful and also unhelpful.
Yeah, tell me why is it unhelpful?
Good question. Because it's unhelpful, I suppose, because, as I said, because of a lot of the paid for seminars and things that I got myself involved in, for me, wound up into causing me, rightly or wrongly, a lot of tension, a lot of anger, a lot of stuff. So the unhelpful thing is, as I said, it seems that I'm better off out of the conversation. That's what I mean by unhelpful.
Okay, but I didn't tell you to stay.
No, I know you didn't. And as I said, I wasn't asking for anyone. I was just throwing it out there.
Oh, yeah. Okay. So at the simplest level, whatever's unhelpful, leave it. Go.
Yeah. Okay.
Like that simple. Because otherwise, why the hell would you? Why?
Yeah, no, I get it. I absolutely get that. But do you not see there's an irony in that though? It's like, okay, so if you don't find the 3 principles helpful, then get out of it. I mean, that's kind of what you're saying. And that's also in a way what I was saying, apart from joining the conversation tonight. I think that that's okay, but it's a kind of weird conversation to have in a conversation about the principles.
Well, this isn't a conversation about the principles. I wouldn't call it that. I don't like to really limit it into a box.
Okay, fair enough. Because it's another concept.
It's another concept, and I really don't.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome. It's so good to see you.
Thank you. Thanks, Christian.
Thanks, Tony. Thanks for your contribution. Amanda, you said as though you were about to just say something else there.
Suzanne is raising her hand.
Oh, please come in, Suzanne.
Yeah.
May I have a crack at just adding something to the Tony discussion? Hi, Tony, if you're still there. I understand his dilemma around this, and it comes back to the feeling. He was asking, well, why am I even here on this webinar? Well, probably something about feeling in community with this sea of consciousness, if you want to call it that. And I can see how you could go to 3 principles things and use all of that information, turn it around and beat yourself up with it and get totally frustrated. But it really is all about resting in that feeling and doing whatever, just responding in whatever way brings you back to that feeling. And if it's not doing 3P stuff, it doesn't matter, because it's all about resting in that feeling as much as possible. In fact, Sid Banks said, if you're listening to a tape of one of my lectures and you have the feeling, throw the tape away and keep the feeling. And that's exactly what it's about. It's about continuing to rest in this space that is indescribable. There are absolutely no words for it.
Yeah.
But everything that one does from that space is kind of magical. Just your life takes care of itself. And all of
Yeah.
that sounds very woo-woo. Sorry.
Yeah. Well, even to reduce it down even more simple, if Tony just showed up to see me and Christian and all you guys, and that's it, beautiful. Like, that's it. No 3P, no me, no separate self. Just to connect with something, us. That just, like you said, just the connection. And even if that is a tiny little feeling of reconnecting with a friend that you haven't seen in 3 years, beautiful. Like, it can just be that much. Not solving world peace or solving the me's problems, because that's conceptual as well. But just right now, just this. But I love that. Yeah, it is throw the tape out the window, because it's not the tape. It's not the 3 Ps. It's not some teacher that knows more than you or is more enlightened than you. It's none of that bullshit.
This might seem much more, kind of sort of plodding, but one of the things that's been coming to my mind in the conversation is I was thinking about the Modelo project that Roger Mills was sort of started and spearheaded, and Jack Pransky wrote about. And one of the issues there was that many of the households were headed by a parent, often a single mother who was addicted in one way or another. And Jack told, I don't know if it's in the book so much, but Jack told me that he went down shortly after the kind of formal part of the project had finished. But the mothers, as they mainly were, had nearly all got sober, but they hadn't all gone to AA. I mean, some had gone to AA, some had gone to NA, some had gone to rehab, some had just done it on their own, some had gone to church and had found support that way. But what I thought, that what I took from that was that because each of them were over this period of a couple of years that the project went on, had become more in touch with their rest. They just had they were able to respond to that rather than anybody telling them what was the right way, and they seem to have allowed themselves to be free of concepts or direction, or it's this way or it's that way. And there was something very hopeful. There was something very hopeful about that for me. I just something very lovely.
Yeah, being again getting. I mean, it's a sign if a concept or a package called 3P or AA or whatever the concept is starts to produce anger and frustration. That's a sign that that it's not needed. It's not the thing. It's not the place to look. It's the outer core. It's like the outer crust that's got sticky barbs on it.
Mm.
So at some point you'll get into the inner core that's in through the membrane, but it might be through a different concept that isn't so solid and not cohesive to whatever you're seeing at that moment. It's the same essence inside the membrane. It is you. You get through and you find yourself looking back at you.
Yeah, lovely. Well, we have a couple more questions. So Deborah's got a hand raised, but Emer, I don't know if I'm pronouncing your name properly, Emer, but has, forgive me if I'm not, has asked a question in writing. So will I give you that first?
Sure.
So the question is, if you're stuck in a bad habit, a bleak addiction, what advice would you give to get out of it? Every day I try to ignore the urges, but eventually give in to them at some stage, and it gets so frustrating because I know better, but in the heat of the moment, forget about the consequences.
Yeah. So there's no way to fight or fix an urge and a behavior until you see that there's a belief that's still there, that something needs to be protected or comforted, meaning yourself. So when the urges aren't there at some times of the day, they're not there all 24/7. Take the time to explore, who is this belief? Do I even know that me is a thought, that I am a belief, that I am a bundle of memories and perceptions and always changing? And what is that? Where is that? Does it need protection? Is it vulnerable? Can it be hurt? Can Santa be hurt? Right? Have you seen him? Literally, is he in your pinky finger? Is he in your brain? Where is it? And does it need protecting? So that kind of, I don't have any advice about an urge, because if that's what's arising in the moment, that's what's going to happen is going to happen. And there might be a fight, there might be a giving into it, there might be a fight against it, there might be an overwhelm. There's nothing at that point, any resistance to what's happening is going to make it worse. So I'm not saying go all in with an urge, but just know that the urge is on behalf of a belief. The urge is on behalf of something that you can explore and start to strip away as something solid and real that needs to be protected. So I hope that's helpful, Imir. And if this is who I think it is, I love you.
Oh, thank you. Well, because I'm conscious of time, I'm going to give Amira an opportunity to respond if she wants to, but I'll move up. Deborah's had her hand raised from someone. So do you want to just unmute yourself and come in, Deborah?
Okay.
Thanks.
Yes, that's actually kind of a segue, I think, into what I was going to ask, which it seems to me that all addictions are really addictive thinking. Mm-hmm. And so my question then, and I'm not sure how to word this, but it's like, okay, and if I follow that along, it's like, okay, and I don't have control of these thoughts happen. So, and I recognize there's a desire for different thoughts, better thoughts, but if I don't control what's coming in, and I know it's changing, but the behavior is not changing. I hate that I'm asking this, but I really want better thoughts.
So, on who's having thoughts? On whose behalf are these thoughts bad and undesirable? That's where the question is now. Because there has to be a me to arise at the same time as an undesirable thought. Otherwise, it's just thought, right? There's got to be a you and a thought that's undesirable. There has to be two things appearing, apparently.
Yeah.
So instead of looking at the undesirable thought and wishing it away and wanting new ones, look over here to see that the only reason it is created as undesirable is because there's a me there creating that. It's a mirror.
But I thought I wasn't creating those thoughts. I thought they were just coming.
You're not. The me that is arising as a thought with it, that doesn't look like a thought, looks like you.
Right.
It's a mirror. the undesirable thought is mirroring the me, and they're creating each other. It's made of the same thing.
Oh, wow.
Does that make sense? You got it the first time, and then I think I confused you.
I understand there's the thoughts that me is just a bunch of thoughts, and I understand that the undesirable behavior is a bunch of thoughts. But if there was no me, you're saying that that thoughts about certain behaviors would not be undesirable because they wouldn't seem threatening to the thought of me?
Well, okay, let's make it a little simpler. In a moment, here arises an undesirable thought. Now, that's got your attention, the undesirable thought. The way it is created as an undesirable thought is because what arose with it was the me that reflects undesirability onto that thought.
Wow.
Okay, so you have a thought about a trash can.
Eating something.
I don't know. Picking out the trash.
Yeah.
Well, that could be undesirable. I don't know. You know what I mean? A random thought comes in. Oh, there's a bluebird flying by. The me that arose with that one. See, there's all these different me's that arise with thought, so that it knows thought. The me that arises with the bluebird thought is creating a desirable thought, or a neutral experience of that, or a beautiful experience of that.
Because that
beautiful bird.
it.
Yeah. Or,
I just got it, because there's all these different me's, all these different identities.
Yes.
And so if this identity likes that thought, that's a desirable thought. And if this identity doesn't like a thought,
it's even closer than that. They come together. There's no space between the two. It's like boom, undesirable thought, and me has created that, like that.
Yeah. There can't
be separation.
There's not a me to have the thought, right?
No, okay. Right. Yeah, you got it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Oh, lovely. Thanks, Deborah. Great question, and yeah, thank you for that response. Just lovely, Amanda. We're actually just about at time, and so unless there are any really burning questions, I'm going to suggest that I just hand it back to you for a moment or two. Amir's just said thanks, kiss kiss. So I guess like that.
I'm so glad.
I'm just going to hand it back to you to round it off, and you may want to say how people can contact you if they are wanting to get in touch.
Well, a lot of these beautiful people know where to contact me. a lot of these people are in the school with me and Amy. Otherwise, uncoveryspace@gmail.com is my email.
And I'll put that on the notes to the recording as well. Yeah.
That's it. I'd love to hear from you. Thank you for spending your Sunday with little old me. Thank you for spending Sunday with Santa Claus.
Oh, listen, thank you. That was delightful, and for me, really challenging and deep, and just like that sense of seeing something new. So I really appreciate it. I'm so glad that you made the time, and thank you very much indeed for that.
My pleasure. I love you.
Thank you, and thank you everybody else who came along and asked questions and made yourself vulnerable. And lovely. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Have a great day.
Bye, everyone.
Bye bye.